What's the date? 21st? Let's rip it. October 21st, 2021. This is huge. This just dropped. The announcement of Worldcoin, which is a cryptocurrency project that's aiming to give everyone on planet Earth, yes, everyone, all 8 billion people, a piece of the network to jumpstart it. 80% actually, 20% is going to be allocated to the founding team and other things. This is the most ambitious cryptocurrency project I've seen recently. I mean, this is absolutely insane. This is what it gets me fucking excited. It's going to use a device called an Orb. They call it an Orb to actually scan your irises and confirm that it has never given you Worldcoin before, and it's going to uniquely identify you. And if it hasn't given it to you before, boom, you get your piece of Worldcoin. Now, I'm done holding punches with cryptocurrency and stuff. Like, this stuff is just absolutely insane. The scale of this project, trying to bootstrap a network by giving everyone on planet Earth a piece of that network, is an absolutely amazing undertaking, and something that is only possible with cryptocurrency networks, full stop. The internet paired with cryptocurrency networks. It is unbelievable. It's so exciting. This space is just a never-ending firestorm of fucking amazing stuff. I was going to talk about Novia today. I'll talk about that later. Facebook's new payment app. This just dropped a few hours ago, and it's just absolutely mind-blowing. I'm super stoked about it. Really, really interesting. Let's dive in. Everyone, this is Dick Lucas of the No Gradient Podcast. You can search No Gradient wherever you get your podcasts. Also on available on YouTube. I link to the YouTube channel in the show notes of the podcast. Also on Twitter and Instagram, Dixie Lucas. So let's get into this. So this is founded by Alex Blania. Apologies on the he's the CEO, and Sam Altman is part of the founding team as well, and he was the president of, I don't know if he's still the president of Y Combinator, but he's been at Y Combinator a while, which is the best startup incubator in the world. He's had a lot of success there with Paul Graham. So, and I follow him on Twitter. I've been following him on Twitter for a while. I think he really cuts through the BS and has really great technology takes, political takes. I really appreciate his input. And I think anytime he does something, I'm always, or anytime he says I'm always listening to it. Now that he's building something, I'm really listening to it. So I'm really very, very curious about where this project goes. So let's start. Let's start a little bit from the top. I read a lot of their intro, kind of what are we docs, and we'll get into it. We'll get into the technology. We'll get into how they're bootstrapping this problem. How do you go about distributing Worldcoin to every corner of the earth and every human on the earth? It's an absolutely fantastic problem. And even if this stuff fails, like, this is what's so amazing about cryptocurrency right now. I used to think, if it fails, it's all for naught. But the ideas coming out of this space and the way that it allows you to think, it kind of changes the way I think you think about problems. It's no longer about, okay, how can I grow a company and extract all the wealth and my users give me, accrue all the wealth to me. It's how can I create a system that brings everyone on board, gives them a piece of the pie, and encourages them to bring their friends along and join the network as well. So it's a very interesting. Everything's about incentives. Like, incentives are the most powerful thing in the world. Literally, it runs everything. And the crypto networks have incentives built in the form of, feeling like you have a piece of something, number one, and a monetary gain if that thing is successful. And irrespective of borders, you just need an internet connection to participate in these networks. And it's just an absolutely fantastic thing. And I'm of the belief that we're just getting started we're just starting to connect all the humans. And a lot of bad shit's happening. Everyone's on the internet, so all the bad people are on the internet too. But there's also a lot of good people. There's also lots of people that want to learn, they want to build things. And I'm of the belief that individuals, just human ingenuity is just so powerful, and everyone can bring something to the table. Everyone can bring something to the table, but there's also, fucking geniuses out there that just rise above. And the more we can give opportunity to people, the more we can knock the lid off this whole thing we call planet Earth, and bring more opportunity everywhere to every part of the globe. Give everyone the ability to participate technologically in kind of the global human society. And that's why the internet's so powerful, irrespective of cryptocurrency. The internet's so powerful because the sum of human knowledge, anyone with an internet connection can access it. Now, this is far bigger deal than the printing press, far bigger deal than monks writing information down and you having to learn how to read, and well, you still have to learn how to read today, but well, less so, I guess. In some ways, you can just listen, but it's just interesting. So I'm just I fundamentally am just so excited about anything in the space that's anything in the world. That's why cryptocurrency is so fascinating. It's how can we connect people? How can we create decentralized autonomous organizations, for example, with very low barriers to entry? You try filing, for an LLC. Yeah, it's kind of easy. This is a pain in the ass, though. But you organize people in these crypto networks, and the things you can build and things you can do and the virality of them and the way they can spread and the way you can share it is just so fucking fascinating. So, okay, that was a little rant. Let's talk more about, let's dive into, I'm going to tell this story kind of how they told the story. So they start out with, talk about the internet is powerful because of large networks. There's email, there's social networks. I'm talking about what if we can distribute the control of these networks. So crypto, they talk about broadly on their website, they talk about broadly cryptocurrency allows you to distribute ownership of the networks. But unlike email, which is an open protocol, that's why you have email, you have Yahoo, you have Hotmail, you have all these things built on top of it, all these applications built on top of it, because it's an open protocol. No one controls it, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing. That's why I think it has such staying power. That's why podcasting, I think, has a lot of staying power. No one centrally owns that, actually. So that it's an open standard, similar to RSS, which isn't as popular. Real simple syndication, that's another open standard. Okay, they go on to say only 3% of the world, 3% of humanity is actually involved in the cryptocurrency networks. So they're looking at the problem from first principles. They say, okay, everyone with an internet connection now today can participate in crypto network. An internet connection and a device, even just a phone. You can participate in the crypto networks today and send people money. You can participate in the NFT world, all the apps built on top of them, there's more and more every day. The publishing apps that are built, it's a total flow of apps right now. We're living in a golden age of Web3. Well, not golden age, it means we're building it out right now, but it's fascinating. So look at the problem. They say, okay, only 3% of people. Technically, yes, everyone with a phone and an internet connection can do this, but imagine you're in a village in some remote part of the world. You're not in a city, and you have a phone and an internet connection. How do you actually, and you don't have a bank account, how do you actually get access to cryptocurrency? Well, you can meet up with someone, exchange real currency for them, and send it to them. That's kind of a pain in the ass. Is everyone going to do that? And that's kind of a pain in the ass. How do you actually get your first Bitcoin? Get a piece, buy a fraction of a Bitcoin. How do you get into Ether? You need to somehow get onto the network. And I think a lot of projects over the next few years, we're going to see it's going to be a lot easier to join these networks. I mean, look at Mirror Protocol. You just need a wallet. You don't even have to pay fees, which is fascinating. I think we're going to see more of that. But how do you get this currency into people's hands with that they can use, and they can start using it? Boom. Enter Worldcoin. So the problem that they're trying to solve is how can we make sure that we distribute this to every human on the earth. So it's called a proof of it's called solving the unique human problem, they call it. I'm kind of jumping ahead here, but I want to start with this. There's the unique. There's two problems here. There's being unique, and then there's being actually human, which is the proof of personhood problem. So unique, well, we'll start with the actually human. So we all have seen CAPTCHAs, reCAPTCHA. You click the check mark, or you have to click on, okay, which part of the picture has signs in it, and that allows. It's hard for computers to solve that, but it's easy for humans, trivial for humans. It's hard for robots to solve that. Okay, but how do you verify that someone's unique? I could fill out 50 times, and that doesn't prove. How does that system doesn't tell me? They can't determine that I'm a different person or the same person. Boom. They have a device. Here's how you handle the unique problem. Okay. The Orb. They have a hardware device that they are releasing to many people. They have partners, which it's not going to be available in the US and China right now. They're not allowing it due to some regulations. But they've already started this, and I don't know how this went under the radar. I did not see this. I haven't even heard about it. It's been in stealth mode for several months. Shout out Pat Dales was telling me his homie left his company. He's been on the podcast. Pat Daly doing pretty good. Check out that episode. That's one of the early days podcasts. OG shit. They have an orb. They have they call it the Orb. It's a hardware device. It's like 22 centimeters across. And what it does is it scans your eyes, and it takes a picture of both of your eyes, and checks in the database, has this person received Worldcoin yet? And if they haven't, boom, you have to download the app, you have your phone, you can get the Worldcoin distributed to you. I think it's like 5 Worldcoin. I don't know what the award is or what the free distribution is. Well, it's, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's 1 or if it's 80%, maybe it's like 1 Worldcoin. I don't know how much it is. And then boom, you're in. Now, first thing that comes to mind is privacy. I don't want someone to take a picture of my face. Well, that's the beauty of this. It's using very modern, new, cutting-edge cryptography called zero-knowledge proofs, which allows them. It doesn't save a picture of your eyes. It has a one-way function called an iris hash, which takes a hash. It converts basically the photo of your eyes into a number, into a string of characters, and checks against the database to see if that exists. If it doesn't, then you're good. But it's a one-way function, so you can't take the string of characters and create your eyes, right? If it already exists in the database, then you've already received your Worldcoin contribution. But if it doesn't, then you can get it. So it's a very interesting problem, and they're literally trying to make thousands of these, $50,000 units of these per year, and they're just starting to ramp up. They want to get, in the next 2 years, they want to onboard 2 billion people. This is like a massive societal level project they're undertaking here, and I fucking love it. It's fascinating. And what they're trying to do is, you can sign up to become an Orb operator, and and I'll share some of the stories of some of these folks. But you can be an Orb operator, and the people that are more successful, the more people you onboard, the more Worldcoin you make. So you have an incentive to onboard people. And then what they're going to do is they're going to distribute more orbs. You have to bid on them with Worldcoin. And the people that are doing the best in collecting the most, onboarding the most people, and getting the most rewards are going to be able to bid on those and get more orbs. So it's going to allocate the orbs, theoretically, to the most effective people. You'll, of course, be able to buy Worldcoin with regular money and then be able to participate that way. I'm sure at some point, well, you have to get approved first, I believe. I don't know if that's going to change. You'll be able to just buy it. I'm sure you'll have to get approved. But this is very fascinating way, because if you think about it, imagine if you had a wallet and you had Worldcoin. Like you were onboarded, you're walking around and like, boom, okay, scan my eyes, boom, I have Worldcoin. Now you have it. And then maybe your friend has it in your community. Maybe a bunch of your other friends in that community and they already have it. Maybe they don't have Bitcoin, they don't have Ether, they don't have anything else, but they have this. Now let me quickly check my notes here. Okay, so the Orb, they've been running field tests. One Orb can onboard about 700 people a week, and the goal is to produce 50,000 of these per year. Okay. And I want to quote them here. They say, but we are obsessed with the idea that technology can let us do something collectively that even governments have not been able to increase individual empowerment and equality of opportunity on a global scale, which, I think governments have done an okay job at doing that. I mean, look at the last few hundred years. I think our governments have done a bang-up job, particularly the United States. I think democracies in general have shown that when you give the freedom of markets, the freedom of individuals to pursue the things they want to pursue, to run the business they want to do, for consumers to buy the things that they want to buy, absolute magic happens. So what we've seen in the last couple hundred years is an absolute explosion of wealth, human ingenuity, and opportunity. So I think, government's been a part of that. I think the United States government has been a huge part of that, kicking everyone in the ass and getting everyone on board with this system. But governments have been a part of this. So to say governments haven't been able to, I think some governments have done an okay job. But there are many governments have done it, relative to history. I always think of these things in the time scale relative to history. Look at 1,000 years ago. You'd rather live then? Absolute dark, dark time. Doesn't mean we don't have work to do, but always think of it in terms of zoom out. Okay. So let's talk about Metcalfe's law for a second. You probably haven't heard of this in a while, but Metcalfe's law is the more the worth of a network, the value of a network scales in proportion to the square of its users. So the more people that have an email account, the more people that have an email address, the more valuable the network is, because you can communicate with more people. The more people on a social network, the more valuable it is. And the more people are on it, it's a square. It's exponential function. It becomes increasingly valuable. So that's Metcalfe's law. So, and they don't name Metcalfe's law on this, but that's what it is. They're just arguing that the more people are part of the network, the more epic it is. So let's talk about through some of the Orb Operators. Orb Operators, they run it how they want. They've onboarded 25 operators so far, 30 devices in 12 countries across 4 continents: Africa, South America, Europe, and Asia. It's absolutely fascinating. They're letting people decide. You don't know what tactics you need to do in a certain community, in a certain country. Trying to create a strategy, a top-down strategy, impossible to try to onboard. It's an impossible thing. You will never know. You might maybe be able to figure out, okay, on this country, in this country, it's better to approach people this way, or it's better to message things this way. But you get down to the city level, the community level, the only people that are going to know how to do that the best are the people that fucking live there. So give the orbs to them and let them do it. So I think this structure is super, super amazing. So let me give a few stories. I'm going to read this quickly. And because I just think this is really cool because it shows you where the rubber meets the road. I'm really always looking at things. Where does the rubber meet the road? Where does this shit hit the fan? That's what matters. So here we go. In Indonesia, I'm going to quote, "The best performing Orb operator is currently based here, signing up over 30,000 users in a little over 4 months. In his first week as an operator, he set the highest single weekly sign-up total at the time. Since then, he has partnered with one of the biggest food delivery companies in the country to sign up its drivers, rented out a storefront in a shopping mall to capitalize on high foot traffic, and even been invited to a nearby village to sign up all those who live there to Worldcoin. His time signing up the village was so successful that it resulted in 8 other villages asking him to do the same. Here's an example from Kenya. One of the Orb operators in Kenya typically partners with universities to run sign-up events. He has assembled a team of over 30 people so far. At optimal capacity, he runs events 6 days a week, all at different universities. At each event, he signs up between 300 and 400 people. As word of what he was doing spread, universities around the country began to invite him to their campuses, with some invitations even sent directly from the presidents of the university. To keep up with this ever-increasing demand, he will often run 2 events concurrently in different locations, splitting up 4 orbs to efficiently sign up more people." Fascinating. Here's an example from Chile. Currently, the longest active Orb operator in the world is based here. He has managed to sign up over 18,000 users in a little over 6 months by running his operations like a business. He employs 20 people who work in shifts. At any given time, he has 4 people supporting his Orb operation. This allows him to keep his Orb active for 8 hours a day, every day. His commitment to the project and its vision is astounding. While he normally operates out of Santiago, he aims to spread the project all throughout Chile, occasionally flying his team to smaller, more remote Chilean towns where he has had to secure special permission to operate and give away Worldcoin. It's absolutely, these are incredible stories. It's just like, it's an absolutely fascinating, you know what it brings me to mind? A vaccine rollout. It gives me a very similar vibe to that. How can we make sure there's a touch point with every single human on the earth? It's a similar problem. It's absolutely fascinating. Okay, so I already covered the unique human problem because I jumped ahead of that. Okay, so another thing they talk about actually is that scaling is tough. So in the biometrics space, scaling is tough because the more things you have in the database, the more likely that you'll get what do they call it? They call it a false match. The false match rate increases. So let's say you have 10 people in the database. Well, 10 different sets of eyes, are going to be, they're not going to be that similar. But you throw 1 billion in there, all of a sudden it's going to take a photo of your eyes and say, wait, it might be this one, it might be this one, it might be this one. So the way they say they solve that is they need super high fidelity biometric capture. So the Orb then captures high resolution images of both irises at multiple infrared wavelengths, then uses them to locally compute the user's iris hashes. So what's fascinating about this is that, and we'll talk a little bit about the technology too, more about like what blockchain it's on. It's on Ethereum, but we'll talk about that. They also talk about making sure that it's not an animal that's getting onboarded. You're not just putting your dog's face up to the thing and then getting Worldcoin that way. So they're ensuring that it's human. And part of this is there's only going to be some Orb operator, right? The Orb operator is obviously going to know if a dog's getting put up to the thing. But this is an absolutely fascinating thing. And if Worldcoin is successful, if the token accrues value, you're going to see that's going to be the highest level bounty for a hardware device on the planet. Maybe the iPhone, hacking that because so many people have it, so many powerful people have iPhones. If you can hack into it, you can get a lot of secrets, get a lot of shit like that. That's very, very high, reward for attacking that. But if you can get your hand on one of these orbs and fake it and just start minting Worldcoin, that's absolutely. So they do say they monitor these things via the cloud, and they can prevent the distribution of them remotely. So that's what's interesting. The Worldcoin is actually going to be built on the Ethereum blockchain, but the actual determining whether someone is spoofing it or whether someone has hacked into it is running on the cloud on their central servers. So it's an interesting, it's a trade-off, but that totally makes sense. You can't build something like that on a blockchain right now. So yeah, there's a total of 10 billion coins that will be minted, 20% allocated to the initial team, and the rest of the 8 billion for the rest of the world, for all humanity. Now, so I guess that means you get one. I think you get one Worldcoin when you get onboarded. It makes me think though, like, wouldn't you want more than that? Because maybe it is more than that. Because if you just have one of something, it's like, but if you had 5, like, why don't they just do 50 billion? You get 5. It just feels sexier. Like, oh, I have 5. I don't know. Just feels more beast. But I don't know. They're smarter than me on this. And the reward for onboarding new users decays over time. So the first, onboarding the first billion, if you're part of that, you're going to get more Worldcoin than if you onboard like the last billion. And that's good reason. It's trying to jumpstart the network. So that's an absolutely fascinating problem. So this is going to be built, and this is super bullish on Ethereum in general. This is going to be built on top, or it's already built. It's running on the Ethereum blockchain. Now it's using a layer 2 optimistic roll-up solution. Now, whenever you hear layer 2, think of, so Ethereum transaction fees are high, Bitcoin transaction fees are fairly high. A layer 2 solution is something that's built on top of the blockchain. So it allows for faster settle times, lower transaction fees, but the trade-off is it's not as secure because it's not running on it's not running on the blockchain. Well, it is running on the blockchain, but it's talking to it, but it's not running every transaction through the blockchain. You can think of it as this. What it does is it bundles all these transactions up and then puts them on the blockchain that way. And then, but it does it all at once. So versus every single transaction, boom, 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 that's more costly. So it bundles up, then puts them on the blockchain. And it's using an optimistic roll-up technology. Now, let's talk about what optimistic roll-up means. Optimistic, and I'm going to quote, is used because aggregators publish only the bare minimum information needed with no proofs, assuming the aggregators run without committing frauds, and only providing proofs in the case of fraud. Roll-up, so that's where the optimistic comes from. So you don't require a proof that this transaction was valid unless there's detection of fraud. And roll-ups is used because transactions are committed to the main chain in bundles. That is, they are rolled up, so it can decrease the transaction fees. So they're building it, so it's going to be a layer 2 solution on top of Ethereum, which again, the fact that this smart crack team chose Ethereum for such a big project like this, that's just bullish on Ethereum. I think it's just another indication that Ethereum is the network. Right now, the leading smart contract network. That could change in 5 years, could change in a few years, we'll see, but right now it's definitely the leader. And also, users are free to withdraw their funds to the Ethereum mainnet. So the mainnet, that's off the layer 2, or migrate through bridges to any layer 2 on Ethereum, Optimism, Arbitrum, and many others. There's a bunch of different types or different layer 2 solutions. Or even separate and aspiring ecosystems such as Solana and Polkadot. So they specifically call out Solana and Polkadot. Solana was founded by some ex-Qualcomm guys, and I think it's based on Solana's based on Solana Beach. Shout out Walcaro Fitch if you're listening to this, Brother Beast. Shout out Philly K. I think it's based on Solana Beach, a town in Del Mar, right near San Diego there. And Polkadot is another. Gavin Wood is one of the founders that moved over from Ethereum, and he started Polkadot. One of the founders of Ethereum. So this is an absolutely fascinating project. I love the scale of it. I love what they're trying to do. They're trying to start creating an actual hardware device to solve this proof of personhood problem and onboard as many people on this in this network as possible. Because once everyone has Worldcoin, what's that going to do? It's a way to bootstrap the network. But you think, well, Worldcoin, what's it backed by? Well, what's the U.S. dollar backed by? What's fucking Bitcoin backed by? It's a lot of it is this collective belief that it has value, right? So it's an absolutely fascinating. It's an absolutely fascinating way to go about this. Not to mention the fact that the more people that have it, as we talk about Metcalfe's law, the more people that are on it, the more valuable that network is. The more likely that people are to use it, the more likely people are to transact with it, and that will mean something. And that means something. Right now, I just imagine even right here, like, I Venmo people typically. I'm not using cryptocurrency. I Venmo people. But if I was here, like, I knew the other person had a Worldcoin wallet because they were on board, and I knew I did, I would say, I would, maybe I'd more likely be using it because I know they have it. I know I have it. Boom. There's something to that. So I think this is super interesting. Super interesting project. I really commend, and even if it fails, dude, this is just the type of thinking that it's just people's minds. I think our minds are being exploded by the possibility of crypto networks. And even if a lot of these things fail, like a lot, the .com bubble, a lot of shit hit the fan, a lot of failed, but then what happened? The next 10 years, created absolutely massive companies. Your Googles, your Amazons. It's just an absolutely amazing, I think, way to think about problems. It's an amazing technology. And it's important to think, remember, cryptocurrency, it's not just, someone made some coins and boom. There were actually very fundamental cryptographic breakthroughs that allow the technology to exist that we didn't have, 20 years ago, right? There is hard science and hard cryptography that allows these things to work and allows people to verifiably trust them. So it's not as if, there's something real here. And the question is, what are we going to do with it? What are we going to create with it? How far down the rabbit hole do we go with this stuff? This stuff is absolutely fascinating. I love talking about it with you. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any feedback, hit me up. You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts. Leave a review on that and comment on that. If you're listening to this, please do that. That will help this get the word out. Also, subscribe on YouTube. Would really appreciate that. Leave a comment, please. Leave a comment. And let me know what you want me to cover in other episodes, potentially. Mostly on cryptocurrency stuff lately because I'm just so fascinated by it right now. But maybe down the road we'll be talking about something else. But I think we'll be talking about cryptocurrency for a long, long time. And soon we won't call it cryptocurrency. If it's successful, we'll stop calling it that. It'll just be the way things work. It'll just be the internet. It'll just be, we don't call it SMTP, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. We call it email. All right, it just won't. I don't think we'll call it cryptocurrency. But anyway, you can also find me on Twitter at Dixie Lucas. Same on Instagram, Dixie Lucas. I always post there when I post a new episode. Hit me up there. I'm always giving hot takes on there and whatnot, on Twitter at least. Instagram, I'm just posting new shows. Thank you so much for listening. Really appreciate it. This has been fun. Worldcoin. Strap in, baby. Strap in.